day to everyone, and welcome to today's discussion on the topic of work-related stress. My name is Kristina Manjkas Štuhec, and today I'm talking to Matea Dujmović, a psychologist and psychotherapist under supervision who works in her private practice called Mindness, where she provides counseling and psychotherapy under supervision for individuals and couples as well as for children and their parents. Today's discussion focuses on identifying the causes and factors of work-related stress and how communication can help in its prevention as a part of the StressOut project. Our goal is to provide essential information and tools to support those facing the challenges of stress in the workplace. To start, thank you for joining our conversation.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to be here.
Can you explain what stress is and how it manifests in our daily lives?
So, stress is part of everyday life. Stress is a set of psychological, emotional, cognitive, and behavioral reactions to stressors. Stress is also the relationship between the individual and the environment. People have developed mechanisms for dealing with stress, and some mechanisms are more constructive than others. So we can say that some people deal with stressors better than the others, and some people don't use them as much as they could. Long-term and unsuccessful coping with stress is harmful and endangers both mental and physical health.
How does the work environment impact stress?
Well, we know that stress is the relationship between the individual and the environment. A stressor or a source of stress is an event or a series of events that an individual perceives as threatening something important to him or requiring his adaptation to external demands. So, when there is an imbalance between the requirements of the work environment and the possibility for the individual to meet them, and failure to meet the requirements is associated with important consequences, the situation is considered threatening.
How do individual perceptions influence whether a situation becomes stressful or not?
Well, what determines whether an event will act as a stressor or not is the individual's interpretation of the event's meaning. So, the way we perceive ourselves, our circumstances, and our environment will largely determine whether we will be stressed or not. For example, not all people have the same reaction in the same situation because some of them would not perceive the same situation threatening and the others would do. When there is an imbalance between the requirements of the work environment and the possibility for the individual to meet them, and failure to meet the requirements is associated with important consequences, the situation is more likely to be assessed as threatening.
Can you tell us about the different signs of stress?
Yes, there are different signs of stress. Signs of stress can be divided into physical, mental, emotional, and behavioral. Physical signs are headache, fatigue, insomnia, loss of appetite, stomach pain, suffocation, palpitations, increased blood pressure, tremors, nausea, muscle tension, sweating, and itching. Mental signs of stress could be inability to concentrate, distraction, numbness, torn thoughts, black thoughts, incoherence in speech, imposed thoughts and images, nightmares, mistrust of others, or boredom. Emotional signs of stress could be anxiety, panic, resentment, sadness, depression, indifference, helplessness, or loneliness, discouragement, feeling of emptiness, anger, or even cynicism. Behavioral signs of stress could be crying, shouting, slamming doors, tapping fingers, hitting, pacing up and down, clenching fists, overeating, and so on.
What is burnout and what causes it?
While stress in the workplace is increasingly recognized as a significant issue, Its consequences can range from acute to chronic stress reactions to mental health disorders, psychosomatic symptoms, and burnout syndrome. Prolonged stress can severely affect both physical and mental health, often without obvious signs, making it more dangerous. Work-related reactions can include dissatisfaction with work relationships, difficulty functioning effectively, and withdrawal. Employees may experience depressive symptoms, anxiety, or agitation, and some may look for an organic cause linking physical symptoms to stress. Stress can also lead to irritability, excessive worry, or apathy, ultimately impacting both personal and professional lives. As awareness grows, it's crucial to develop strategies to prevent and manage stress. A healthy work environment that supports open communication and encourages stress management is key to employee well being and long term productivity.
What is burnout and what causes it?
Burnout is a state of physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion caused by prolonged stress. It typically results from a combination of work related pressure and personal life stressors. Burnout occurs when the demands placed on a person exceed their ability to cope, leading to exhaustion, disengagement, and reduced performance. At work, burnout is often caused by excessive workload, unrealistic expectations, or a lack of control over tasks. Poor interpersonal relationships, lack of support from colleagues or supervisors, or a toxic work environment can also contribute. Outside of work, personal stressors like family issues, relationship problems, loss of a loved one, or health challenges can exaggerate burnout, making it harder to cope with work demands. People with burnout often struggle to perform daily tasks at work, feeling overwhelmed by their responsibilities. They may experience chronic fatigue, emotional detachment, and a sense of being ineffective. Concentration difficulties are common, and even simple environmental stimuli like sounds can feel disruptive. Burnout leads to a sense of disengagement from both work and personal life, with feelings of frustration and emotional withdrawal. Preventing burnout requires addressing both work related and personal stressors early on. Setting realistic expectations, improving communication, and establishing clear boundaries between work and personal life are key. Regular breaks, seeking support, and adopting healthy coping strategies like mindfulness and exercise can help manage stress before it leads to burnout.
How can we distinguish between burnout and mobbing?
Burnout and mobbing are often confused, but they have distinct causes and symptoms. Not every burnout is mobbing. It is necessary to think about what is normal stress and what is acceptable and what is not. When we are stressed for a while, we still leave everything the same. For example, we do not do anything specific and aimed at reducing exposure to stress, or we think that we are, but it does not lead to a reduction in stress, then there is a risk of developing addiction. Burnout is a result of chronic stress from work overload, lack of control, or personal issues. It leads to emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion, causing disengagement and reduced performance. Mobbing, on the other hand, involves target mistreatment from colleagues or supervisors, such as bullying, exclusion, or verbal abuse. It's a form of interpersonal harassment that undermines an individual's dignity and emotional well being. Burnout is caused by stressors like excessive workload or lack of support. leads to emotional exhaustion and disengagement from work, and affects an individual's relationship with work. Mobbing is driven by harmful interpersonal behaviors or toxic work culture, results in humiliation, isolation, and emotional distress, and stems from harmful actions by others in the workplace. When stress is not managed, it can lead to burnout or unhealthy coping mechanisms like alcohol or drug abuse as a way to numb feelings. In the case of burnout, stress can build up gradually, while mobbing involves targeted mistreatment. It's important to address stress early, either by adjusting workloads or seeking support to avoid escalation into burnout or addiction.
How does a person's perception of failure affect their mental state?
A person's perception of failing can significantly impact their mental well being, often leading to a negative cycle of self doubt and hopelessness. After experiencing repeated setbacks, individuals may start to feel helpless, believing they are incapable of accomplishing things that others seem to manage effortlessly. Over time, this perception can lead to a pessimistic outlook when they begin to expect future disappointments. This expectation often becomes a self fulfilling prophecy. Anticipating that they will not succeed causes them to behave in ways that increase the likelihood of not succeeding, reinforcing the negative mindset. Additionally, these exaggerated expectations of future difficulties can contribute to feelings of helplessness and even depression. A key factor in this is negative self assessment when someone interprets a minor setback as evidence that they are incapable of or have lost the skills they once had. This disordered thinking diminishes self esteem and creates a pervasive sense of hopelessness about future success. As a result, individuals may feel trapped in a cycle of underachievement, unable to break free from their negative view of themselves and their abilities.
How can individuals cope with stressful and crisis situations?
When we have a crisis situation, then the consequences of that crisis can be short term or long term, which depends on the severity of the situation, the importance of loss, the support of loved ones, etc. Some people interpret stressful and crisis situations as an opportunity to strengthen after overcoming the challenges that are in front of them, and others do not simply return to what is regular for them. That is why it is important to know what to do and what not to do. It is recommended not to suppress feelings, rather to express them, not to avoid the conversations about fears, doubts, etc., to take enough time to think things through and make important decisions, but also to rest. Don't procrastinate making decisions too much because that decision making period consumes a lot of mental energy. It's important to say that we can have a certain number of problems in our heads at the same time, and if a new problem or concern is added to that number, an old one should be thrown out. Stick to your routines, eat regularly, get enough rest, do everything in that person's power to protect yourself from additional problems. Focus on solving what we can solve, plan small steps, and be ready to give up some plans. Ask for help in planning and to the organization if we need it. When we are overwhelmed, to gather enough important information to make important life decisions, to discuss expectations and how we see the further development of events.
What self protection strategies can people use to cope with stress?
We can divide self protection strategies into personal, professional, workplace, and community strategies. Personal strategies include creating a sense of safety by spending time with supportive people, maintaining a healthy routine, and engaging in regular self care activities. This can involve seeking psychotherapy, ensuring proper nutrition, exercising, and getting enough rest. Relaxation techniques like breathing exercises, meditation, yoga, and spending time in nature are also crucial. Cultivating a positive mindset, such as practicing self love, challenging negative thoughts, and staying present in the moment, can help reduce stress and improve emotional resilience. Professional strategies focus on managing workload and relationships at work. Regular collaboration with colleagues, taking frequent breaks, and setting clear boundaries for work duties are essential. It's also important to recognize and celebrate achievements, practice gratitude, and ensure adequate training to improve skills. Delegating tasks and rotating responsibilities can help prevent burnout and reduce stress. Workplace strategies emphasize creating a supportive and healthy work environment. This includes recognizing stress levels, resolving conflicts, and planning regular vacations or breaks to recharge. Regular meetings for problem solving and emotional support, along with fostering a culture of understanding and mutual help, can help create a motivating and stress reducing atmosphere. Community strategies involve strengthening connections with others and collaborating on shared goals. Positive interactions and the support of a community can improve work satisfaction and provide a sense of belonging, further reducing stress. By integrating these self protection strategies, individuals can better manage stress and promote overall well being both in their personal and professional lives.
And last question, what are some effective and ineffective ways of coping with stress?
According to the multi-mode model of coping with stress by Muli Lahat, coping strategies can be grouped into belief, affect, social imagination, cognition, reality, and physical domains. Ineffective coping strategies include habits like emotional outbursts, denial, rumor listening, and rigid thought patterns. Other ineffective responses are addiction, example to substances, work, or organization, superstition, magical thinking, and avoidance behaviors such as daydreaming or excessive physical activity to distract from stress. These strategies often fail to address the root cause of stress and can lead to further emotional or physical strain. Effective coping strategies involve belief in a purposeful life, drawing strength from internal or existential sources, having clear values, expressing emotions through creative outlets, and creating a supportive environment are also beneficial. Building strong social connections, teamwork, community support, and engaging in goal oriented activities can reduce stress. Humor, physical exercise, relaxation techniques, for example, guided imagery or meditation, and problem solving also help manage stress effectively. In short, effective coping is about finding meaningful ways to manage stress, while ineffective strategies often involve avoiding or numbing the emotional impact of stress.
Thank you for joining us on this insightful journey through the causes and solutions of work related stress, Matea.
Thank you for inviting me to discuss such an important topic as stress in the workplace, which is increasingly affecting people's lives. I'm glad I had the opportunity to participate.
And for you who are listening, remember taking care of your mental health is just as important as your physical health. So stay mindful, stay balanced, and we'll see you in the next episode. Take care.